1:15 is the time. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Ramesh Piris and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. The President to promote sustainable development by protecting the environment. 86 COVID-19 vaccination clinics conducted by the Ministry of Health are in operation across the island today. 161 tests positive for COVID-19, moving the daily tally of new cases to 649. The Minister of Energy says he hopes to maintain the current fuel prices as world fuel prices hit 3-year high. The Eastern Province Governor says schools should not be closed again due to protests. The government to provide allocations for cultivation free of charge. Hundreds of fishermen from the north and east set out to sea en masse against illegal poaching. On news overseas, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel hopes Germany continues to work with Turkey. In sports news, it's cricket. The 2020 World Cup Qualifiers for the Super League begins today. Local stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has rejected moves to set up any coal power plants in the country. The president vowed to shift Sri Lanka towards renewable energy. President Rajapaksa made this announcement at the monthly review meeting of the Ceylon Electricity Board, the Ministry of Power and the State Ministry of Solar Power, Wind and Hydropower Generation. When the CEB outlined its plans for clean energy projects, the proposed liquefied natural gas initiatives, the President instructed the utility to adhere to his policy of generating 70% electricity needs through renewable energy by 2030. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far a total of 14,767,778 people have received a first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and 12,720,463 have received the second dose. Meanwhile, 86 COVID-19 vaccination clinics operated by the Ministry of Health continue to operate across the island today. For more details on vaccination clinics operating in your local area and the type of vaccines administered can be obtained by visiting the official website of the Health Ministry, www.health.gov.lk. The Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry says 161 more people were tested positive for COVID-19 in Sri Lanka, moving the daily total of new cases to 649. This brings the total number of confirmed cases of coronavirus reported in the country to 531,070. As many as 492,305 recoveries and 13,472 deaths have been confirmed in Sri Lanka since the outbreak of the pandemic. Official figures showed more than 25,000 active cases in total are currently under medical care. Sri Lanka Saturday reported 23 deaths within the last 24 hours, raising the total to 13,472. The Minister of Energy, Udaya Ganmanpila, states he hopes to maintain the current fuel prices without increasing them, although relief has not been provided by the Treasury. The price of a barrel of Brent crude oil in the world market has reached a 3-year high of $85. The price of a barrel of American WTI oil rose to $82.28. Accordingly, in the past week alone, a barrel of Brent oil increased by 3%. The price of a barrel of WTI oil has also increased by 3.5%. The main reason for the increase in oil prices is the increase in production activities as the risk of the COVID pandemic has decreased. However, the Minister of Energy further stated that if the fuel prices increase, the people will be in a more difficult situation due to the significant increase in the prices of consumer goods. The Minister of Agriculture, Mahindananda Alutgamage, says funds required by the farming community will be provided free of charge. Speaking at a function in Gampola yesterday, the minister said a program will be implemented to identify various areas in the island as crop villages to provide necessary allocations for cultivation free of charge. He noted 2.5 million rupees will be provided to farmers for this purpose. The minister claimed that if more than half an acre can be used for cultivation, water, motors and pipelines will be provided by the government. Moreover, the Minister of Agriculture states that 22 million litres of special liquid fertilizer with nano-nitrogen source, which is used in the world for eco-friendly agriculture, will be received in the next few days. The secretary to the ministry, Professor Udit Jayasinghe, has said that the first consignment of fertilizer will arrive in Sri Lanka from India next Tuesday. Hundreds of Sri Lankan fishermen from the north and east set out to sea en masse this morning against Indian fishermen poaching in the sea of Sri Lanka. Fishermen were seen hoisting black flags on their vessels as they sailed from Mullaitivu to Point Pedro in protest against Indian fishermen, especially bottom trawling, a technique that's illegal and leaves ocean life completely devastated. TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumantiran says this is an attempt to protect the lives of the Sri Lankan fisher community. In April 2015, Sumantiran presented a bill in Parliament seeking to prohibit mechanized bottom trawling in Sri Lanka's territorial waters. The private member's bill calls for the amendment of the Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Act No. 2 of 1996. The TNA lawmakers' bill also specifies action to be taken against persons engaged in trawling operations in contravention of these provisions. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with the local stories, the University Grants Commission says the cut-off marks for students who sat the 2020 Advanced Level Examination will be published within the next 2 weeks. Issuing a statement, the UGC said it is in the final stages of compiling cut-off marks, after which 44,000 students will be enrolled for the next academic year. The Commission also revealed that more than 150,000 applications have been received for university entrance this year. The police said heavy traffic has been reported at the Valipanna interchange in the southern expressway toward Galle. It was reported that the congestion was reported due to the police conducting inspections near the provincial borders. Police spokesman SSP Nihal Thalduwa said the special security arrangements had been taken to check people who were violating provincial travel restrictions. He said special search operations will be carried out at the exit and entry points at the provincial borders. Another 52 persons have been arrested during the past 24 hours ending at 6 a.m. this morning on charges of violating quarantine regulations. Accordingly, a total of 80,981 persons have been arrested over violation of quarantine laws since October last year. Meanwhile, 1,284 persons entering and 1,478 leaving the Western Province were subject to inspections during the past 24 hours. 783 persons in 326 vehicles identified to be violating quarantine regulations were turned back. To end the local news, the headlines again. The President to promote sustainable development by protecting the environment. 86 COVID-19 vaccination clinics conducted by the Ministry of Health are in operation across the island today. 161 tests positive for COVID-19, moving the daily tally of new cases to 649. The Minister of Energy says he hopes to maintain the current fuel prices as the world fuel prices hit 3-year high. The Eastern Province Governor says schools should not be closed again due to protests. The government to provide allocations for cultivation free of charge. Hundreds of fishermen from the north and east set out to sea en masse against illegal poaching. That ends local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
On the main news story, the Eastern Province Governor Anuradha Yahampath says that schools should not be closed again due to protests. She said that grade 1 to 5 primary schools with fewer than 200 students will be reopened on October 21st. She was speaking at a special meeting with the provincial education authorities at the governor's office in Trincomalee. Governor Yahampath further said all arrangements have been made to reopen 567 primary schools in the province on the 21st of October. She remarked that a conducive environment should be created for children to engage in educational activities after a long absence. She noted that adhering to school uniforms during the first 2 weeks is not mandatory. She further stated that Sisu Sarya buses as well as Sri Lanka Transport Board buses will carry children to schools. The governor noted that health committees have been set up at schools with principals, deputy principals, Grama Niladaris, public health inspectors and security forces personnel. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight.
And on Watchlight, health units have urged the public to limit unnecessary travel at least until the end of December. The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardena, said around 700 COVID-19 positive cases are being reported daily and therefore claimed that under such circumstances, unnecessary travel should be restricted. Dr. Gunawardena said this is not a time period to visit relatives or engage in excursions. He urged the public to curtail travel at least till the end of December this year. That ends Watchlight.
World News.
Headlines of the world news. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel hopes Germany continues to work with Turkey. Myanmar's junta reacts sharply to ASEAN decision. The French president condemns unforgivable 1961 massacre of Algerians in Paris. In a farewell visit, outgoing German Chancellor Angela Merkel said her country will continue to maintain a working relationship with Turkey, stressed cooperation on migration and other issues, and defended Berlin's diplomatic efforts at upholding human rights. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Turkey would always remember the good faith and the contribution Merkel made towards maintaining ties with Turkey. Merkel, who led Germany for 16 years, and Erdogan, who has led Turkey for 19 years, are perhaps the most seasoned political leaders in the region. Myanmar's military says it is extremely disappointed and strongly objected to a decision made by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations to exclude its leader from a group summit later this month. At an emergency foreign ministers meeting on Friday, ASEAN decided not to invite Senior General Min Aung Hlaing to the summit scheduled to start on October 26th. ASEAN says it made the decision because Myanmar's military has remained uncooperative with its efforts to mediate between the military and pro-democracy forces in the country. The French President Emmanuel Macron has called a bloody crackdown on Algerian protesters by police in Paris 60 years ago an unforgivable crime. On 17 October 1961, French police turned on Algerian demonstrators. Some were shot, others were drowned. The precise number of victims is not known, but some say several hundreds could have lost their lives. Mr. Macron is the first French president to recognize that crimes were committed that day. He joined a commemoration beside the bridge over the River Seine, which was the starting point in 1961 for a march against a night curfew imposed only on Algerians. To end the world news, the headlines again. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel hopes Germany continues to work with Turkey. Myanmar's junta reacts sharply to ASEAN decision. The French president condemns unforgivable 1961 massacre of Algerians in Paris. That ends world news.
And now in development news.
Taking a look at development news, experts from the government, private sector, UN agencies, think tanks and other development partners came together at this week's Kickstarter session of the Colombo Development Dialogues on Green Development held earlier in the week. With over 450 participants joining in virtually, they sought to come to a common understanding of a localized Sri Lankan narrative of green development and explore the role of innovation, stewardship and human agency to catalyze action towards a holistic approach to green development. The Colombo Development Dialogues on Green Development, an initiative of the Ministry of Environment together with the United Nations Development Programme in Sri Lanka and other co-convening partners, commenced this week, bringing together 20-plus partners and close to 40 speakers joining from nearly 10 countries across 4 days. That ends development news.
Sports news.
On sports news, it's cricket. The 2020 World Cup Qualifiers for the Super League begin today. 8 teams, including Sri Lanka, will take part in the qualifying round. 2 matches to qualify for the Super 12 round of the 2020 World Cup will be played today. In the first match, Oman will play Papua New Guinea, while the second match will be between Bangladesh and Scotland. The first match between Sri Lanka and Namibia will be played in Abu Dhabi tomorrow. The tournament begins on October 17th with a double header. In the first game, Oman will take on Papua New Guinea. Later in the day, Bangladesh will face Scotland. The final will be played on November 14th. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Leading online payment gateway WebExPay announced a milestone partnership with Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to significantly expand access to digital payments for Sri Lankan micro, small and medium enterprises. Leveraging WebExPay's groundbreaking payment gateway and integrated e-commerce solutions, the initiative aims to empower MSMEs across the island to plug in and benefit from Sri Lanka's burgeoning digital ecosystem with a special emphasis on gender and social inclusion. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, the Central Bank's Purchasing Managers Index survey released on Friday showed both manufacturing and service sectors of Sri Lanka expanded in September 2021. Manufacturing PMI bounced back to 54.3 in September 2021, increasing by 9.2 index points compared to August 2021. This increase was mainly attributable to the significant improvements observed in the new orders and employment sub-indices. The increase in new orders, particularly in the manufacture of textile and wearing apparel and food and beverages sectors, have contributed considerably to the overall improvement in the PMI. Employment has also increased, especially in the manufacture of textile and wearing apparel sector, where new recruitments resumed with the tapping off of the pandemic situation. That ends economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report.
And finally, taking a look at the weather report, the Department of Meteorology forecast showers to occur at several places in the northern and north-central provinces. Several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabragamur, central and northwestern provinces and in Gaul and Matara districts. Furthermore, the Met Department predict wind speed can increase up to 40 km per hour at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north-central, northwestern and southern provinces and in the Trincomalee district. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The President to promote sustainable development by protecting the environment. 86 COVID-19 vaccination clinics conducted by the Ministry of Health are in operation across the island today. 161 tests positive for COVID-19, moving the daily tally of new cases to 649. The Minister of Energy says he hopes to maintain the current fuel prices as world fuel prices hit 3-year high. The Eastern Province Governor says schools should not be closed again due to protests. The government to provide allocations for cultivation free of charge. Hundreds of fishermen from the north and east set out to sea en masse against illegal poaching. On news overseas, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel hopes Germany continues to work with Turkey. In sports news, it's cricket. The 2020 World Cup Qualifiers for the Super League begins today. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.